track to the ground with V8 sound. Oh, you're so steel, but the racing's real. Pedal down every pass you feel. Step right up and place your bets. This is us, the V8 Vets. Put your name in lights. Put your name in lights with the Vets tonight. It's a 1,000 decibel super ride. Burn this track to the ground with V8 sound. Put your name in lights. Oh, oh, with the Vets tonight. It's a 1,000 decibel super ride. Burn this track to the ground with V8 sound. Burn this track to the ground. Come on now, put your name in lights.
Welcome to SimRigs V8 Veterans Championship as we come to Winton Motor Raceway for two sprint races, a break in normal tradition for V8 Vets, but very well suited to this Australian and compact circuit as we have our all-Australian season of V8 Vets. Terms and conditions apply. Mexico City is not in Australia, but it's a delight to have your company as we look forward to all the racing here. David Haynes with Daniel Yeaman to bring you live coverage on SimSpeed TV. Winton is tight, it's technical, but it should be great tonight, Dan.
Yeah, that's certainly the promise of this circuit here, David, and being one of the ones that I get to claim as home state territory, real world and virtual. Yeah, fingers crossed we'll see some good racing out here tonight, despite the technical nature of the Winton Motor Raceway.
There have been no repeat winners yet this season in SimRigs V8 Veterans Championship. Luke Allman taking the first win, Wayne Walker, the defending champion, taking race number 2, Jordan Ross back on form at the Bend a week ago. So who will it be at Winton? One of those drivers again, or a new driver on the top step with 2 wins up for grabs in 2 races? With the exception of Mexico City, there it is all Australian tracks. 2 trips to the Bend, 2 trips to Mount Panorama, all of our favourites in between, including Phillip Island and the Adelaide Street Circuit. We have Jordan Ross on top of the championship points, Wayne Walker just behind him, Ken Latta, Paul Young, Mark Poynton, Alex Kiddis, Michael Stewart, Justin McLean, Shane Randell and Brian Borg as our top 10. Dan, Brian Borg has just appeared inside of that top 10.
Yep, a bit of a slow start to the season for Brian, but was our biggest mover coming into round 3. And once again, our biggest mover coming into tonight's round number 4. He shares that one, though, with Justin McLean, both of them making our only 2 drivers double-digit gains off the back of their results last Thursday at the Bend. P4 for Justin, P6 for Brian. Once you factor in any post-race bonuses and penalties. Unfortunately, on the other side of the totem pole, Travis Hunt with that exploding engine down at turn 1 last week sees himself with a DNF and tumbling down the standings, given that there are no drop rounds in effect just yet. So the situation is rather volatile when it comes to results on track.
Yeah, still feels early in this season, but with 10 rounds, this being round 4, by the time we're done here, it'll feel like we're not too far away from the finish. Every race is critical. Winton Motor Raceway, as Dan said, in Victoria. Up the Hume from Melbourne on your way to Sydney, actually pretty accessible to a large amount of the population, commonly used for a lot of testing as well for teams from Victoria, but also you can make it a day trip from Sydney. It's just outside of Benalla in a bit of bushranger country. It was added to in 1997 to give us a new pit lane and an extended version here. And whoever picked the satellite imagery has picked one where it looked pretty busy. So you can see all the campsites, everything around the circuit that adds to the character of this track. We start on the front straight, of course, and the turn 1 and 2 chicane into 3 and 4. And then things become rather sweeping and continuous radius and always steering one way or the other through turns 5, 6, 7 and 8 underneath the tree into the hairpin of 9. Sometimes you get a good drive out of 9 and you think about diving down the inside of turn 10 there. And then between turns 11 and 12 is the pit entry. It's rather circuitous as it takes you away from the track. But a lot of history here, a lot of racing, and it's almost exactly 3 kilometres.
Yeah, it's actually one of those very nice round numbers.
Like Snetterton.
Time to time. Yes, I actually hadn't really thought about that too closely, but I suppose you would be spot on with that statement.
Snetterton's most used configurations are 2 miles and 3 miles exactly, respectively.
Of course they are.
So this is the format for tonight. Again, 2 races, a 30-minute race with an invert top 10 from qualifying. Should be a little bit of jeopardy there. And then it sets the grid for race number 2. No compulsory pit stops, but I'd say a fair chance of a safety car. Tyres are always so critical on these cars, so some people might be tempted if we get a safety car in race 2, for example, to put on a new set of tyres and see what happens.
I would reckon we'll guarantee tyres will be changed in race 2. That's going to be a given based, David, on these numbers here regarding fuel. It's just the race 1 question as to what drivers can do, because from my numbers I'm able to gather before we go live tonight, you either, and it also, the numbers are quite a wide range because it depends on whether we go one or basically which side of the lap count I provided on the previous one. Just back to that one, just where it falls. We could end up on 22 or 23 laps for race 1, for example. If we end up with a 22 lap race in race 1, you can almost make it on fuel, but you're going to have to save a lot of fuel to do it. So I'd say safety car race 1, start talking your no stopper. Race 2, though, guaranteed based on what I can find. They'll be adding fuel, it covers the tyres, so that'll mean expect drivers to be pushing pretty hard, I think, in that second 45-minute event here tonight.
Looking for the pit lane speed limit, 55 kilometers an hour. And like we said, an awkward entry, but not a particularly long pit lane. And the pit exit feeds you very nicely in towards turn 1. So the pit lane loss, certainly something everyone will be considering to form their strategy around tonight. This is Zoom Wall. Luke Allman, the race round 1 winner, and then Wayne Sanderson, Sean Vandermeulen, still shirtless. Long may his tradition continue. Good on you. Sean McNamara, Christian Smart, Paul Young, Justin McLean, Wayne Walker, Ken Latter, Stuart Hall, and Travis Hunt on the Zoom Wall tonight.
Maybe we'll check in, see if that changes between the races, with a short break between race 1 and race 2. But with that said, qualifying's over. We better run to the grid and make sure we get through this entire field here tonight.
Yep, it's a big grid in Split 1 of SimRigs V8 Veterans Championship, and Brian Borg is on pole position. Justin McLean alongside him. Chris Burridge and Ken Latter. Now this is...
Invert top 10, don't forget.
Yeah, this is qualifying order, not grid order that we're currently looking at.
Yeah, I've done it again. I so often do. Qualifying order, my bad. Let's try that again.
So it's a good qualifying from Brian Borg, but it's Michael Stewart who will benefit from the top 10 invert and start on pole position next to Dean Logsdale. Then Jordan Ross and Sean McNamara. That's an aggressive row too. Paul Young and Wayne Walker behind that. then Ken Latta and Chris Burridge, Justin McLean, and Brian Borg will start from 10th on the grid after being best in qualifying. No invert shenanigans after the top 10. There's Sean Shirtless Vandermeulen from 11th. Luke Allman now with Shadow Racing in 12th. We've got a graphic for that maybe in between the races. Mike Taliancic 13th. Brad Doble 14th. Alex Kiddis there in 15th. He's inside of the top 10 of the points. Travis Hunt is not, but he starts from 16th. Shane Randell in 17th and Damon Fisher 18th. Just behind that, we have Wayne Sanderson and Mark Poynton. That's just about the top half of our field. Then comes John Latham and Christian Smart for Fishy Motorsports on the Zoom wall. Jason Bentz in 23rd. Dean Flavel, new livery there, and it looks good in 24th. That's a great Winton throwback, actually. Bit of early Erebus, I think. Chad Lewis in 25th. Scott Mackay in 26th. John Gallen, 27th on the grid from Bruce Tannock. Then there's Gary Buckland and Ricky Hyde. Matthew Stoyles and Brett Horsell. Brenton O'Brien, 33rd on the grid. Then Ron Allen next to him. Logan Barnett, Matt Brunt, and Jamie McKnight are the last drivers that set qualifying times. Troy Stonestreet didn't. He's 38th in these standings. And Jason Briggs and David Nash are the other drivers that I see, maybe 39th and 40th. Do you know who's missing? Simon Haynes.
Yes, good point indeed. No Simon
I
Haynes.
made an appointment during the week and they tried to spell my name his way.
Ah, righto. Well, real quick before we get to the grid here, I just want to say, last thing we talk about this during the break, but I want to say, a bit of action in Vets this season. We'll talk more about how teams have been coming and going this month.
30 minutes for race 1 of 2 from Winton for V8 Vets. This is our front row, the qualified 9th and 10th. They benefit from the top 10 invert. As the green flag waves, we have a proper side-by-side standing start. Winton, great getaway from Dean Logsdale, so he swoops into turns 1 and 2 on cold tyres, rides the curves like you've got to. Looks like Sean McNamara and Jordan Ross are in position to make up some spots. Into turn 3, McNamara on the inside. Ross tries to follow it through. They're going to muscle out Michael Stewart through turns 3 and 4. And that's a perfect getaway for the teammates. There's some chaos behind them in 3, as you would expect. Gallen's getting going again.
Yeah, it's up from 12 down 12 here, just the first 3 turns. Gallen, that's rough. Trying to pick a great one. So folks, there's Ross has been shuffled back to P3. He might almost be cut away from all that action there. Timing Tower is on light with action here as they come into the Christy Bart said, let's bar it off on the inside.
Yeah, Benz has also been around. He's changing direction between the tight turn 7 into the tight turn 8, and there's more for Logan Barnett as he waits to rejoin. He gets collected side by side. Cars coming through. Almost a lap completed already. Dean Logsdale, well, he loves the top 10 invert. He's got him in the lead of the race. He's got the way there. McNamara and Ross eventually getting through. Spent side by side with Stewart for turns 5, 6, and 7. Took a little while to sort that one out. Now they're up for Synergy Sim Racing into second, third. Wayne Walker also up into 5th place there, in need of some points, in need of finishing ahead of Jordan Ross to keep the championship fight alive the way it's been going at the moment. McNamara putting so much pressure on the race leader now that it's been a lap, and he's been able to get some penalty with his tyres, been able to get past Michael Stewart, and now find his win.
Watch for Ross there. They're threatening for that very front row spot. Shortly after the start, they set up P3 here. Plenty of time to do it here, despite the 30-minute race and still be time to get just the laps tick by, but just how the leaders they're pushing to start this race. They're mindful of the floor there. What here tonight, perhaps, and see what Sean McNamara's being on board with the
The type of driver I am would be fuel saving immediately in this race. There's a chance that Dean Logsdale is doing that. There's a chance Sean McNamara is doing that. You can listen, you can see the revs and the shift lights, and just try to read the body language into one. Listen.
Hearing again.
No, neither. Really aggressive with the curbs at the apex of 1 and 2 and that exit of turn 2 as well. That's how you quit here at Winton, is using all of the track that you're allowed to and too much more. Always challenging to pass. That special saving could become very desirable. Fast lap race goes to Jordan Ross as he also closes in on the back of McNamara, who's on the back of Logsdale. Michael Stewart, after being ambushed at the race start, is now just settling into 4th place there. Wayne Walker also gaining in 5th. Great to see iRacing scan a gum tree, isn't it?
And more fun little bits and pieces that we get to have. Scanned, including the nature and surroundings of them too. So hey, appreciate it.
I'm appreciative of the Bathurst art update because now the trees at the top of the hill are Australian trees rather than American trees stuck in the same place that Australian trees will have been. This is our top 3 out of the final corner, forming a Logsdale log jam. But everyone's got in their mind, can I shorten my pit stop? Can I avoid a pit stop full stop? And then also the jeopardy of the result of this race sets the grid for race 2. What we don't want to do is make this move for the lead and have it not come off, shuffle you back to 20th, 30th, and really stuck in race 2.
Yeah, that would be sort of a grade A disaster moment there. Pass. So, even though there is one thing I didn't really get a chance to talk about, only 1/3 of tonight's possible points are up for grabs in this 30-minute sprint to start things off versus the remaining 2/3 in the main race tonight, David. As you see, exactly, especially on a track like this where it's going to be hard to pass unless you're able to get your elbows out and then not make mistakes. Control. I would say preservation in the angle game. Many of these drivers here at the start of racing.
Speaking of race control, looking at everything that happened from about lap 1, turn 1 onwards, the first action is Hyde gets a drive-through penalty. He's already pitted for damage, I believe, and taken some fuel on board. So he'll be 2 trips into the lane before our leaders have made 1. Logan Barnett and John Gallant also pitted. The numbers that I've got my eye on is last lap versus best lap. Is there anyone who looks like they've backed it off more than just the tyres dropping away? I'm not seeing all that many.
This one's for a couple of front runners, perhaps. So, as the man who's effectively managing the pace here at this point, Logsdale has dropped half a second already. First and best last lap there on lap 5 of this race already, if you can believe it. McNamara trying to behind him, similar pace, and another 10th on Dean's best. Jordan smacked out 26, he had a little bit of pocket to push into. P2, they're settled at that 22.5. Critically, 22.5. Look at quite a quick number on that, David, as to how many laps you can get at that pace.
So not just fuel management, maybe race length management from those up front potentially. Very closely packed for our top 3 coming off the final corner and past the start-finish line. Barney's very exposed here at Winton. They're shuffling for some positions behind that. Here's Chris Burridge alongside Brian Borg. Borg, we know, was the fastest in qualifying, sent to 10th by the invert top 10. He fell out a little bit through turn 2, so he went around the outside one. Arched Burridge a little bit at turn 2. Into 8th place. Simply the last driver. New teammates of and Dolly just behind him.
Yeah, I have to wonder, Dave, whether drivers like Jordan Ross and Sean McNamara perhaps put their absolute best. One of those curious questions.
dangerous game to play because Borg's pole was a 21.24 and 10th place in qualifying was a 21.479. So there's really only a tenth and a half in it. If you had the pace for pole and backed off 2/10, instead of starting, inside of that top 10, you'd be starting some 15th or 16th. Even if you waited to the end of the session, watched what other lap times other folks were doing. Sean McNamara is going for the lead of the race though, so he gets past Dean Logsdale, opens up this door into turn 3 for Jordan Ross to stay there for turn 4, very similar to what they did to Michael Stewart on lap 1, but there isn't space for Jordan Ross. Yeah, just to point out, the qualifying was so close, that margin of, being up front, being in the back part of the top 10, being out of the top 10, very difficult to gain because it's just tenths of a second. So McNamara must have got a good run or been a tiny bit more aggressive through the curbs 1 and 2. He's gone past Dean Logsdale on the way into turn 3. We'll see if McNamara backs this up or if he gets out of here, what effect that has on everyone else's fuel numbers and the race lap length.
I wanted to pick this one up here and quickly check back in on Hyde's penalty, and unfortunately that is about as slam dunk as it gets. Vets with that mistake collecting John Gowan. So slightly later in the lap from Jason Dents. Checking up, trying to find a spot, and he tries to go around the outside of Shane Randell, ends up backwards there after a slight tag. So he avoids him now. Right now, picking up again. There's the aftermath, and this for him. Just across the nose, perhaps slightly a dry through right saturation that was, and then John Gowan's was to get much better. That was picked up lines right before.
Great rejoin either from Barnett, but he was in such a tough spot. So Sean McNamara is pulling away at the lead here. They're still all behind Dean Logsdale, who sure benefited very well from the invert of the top 10 in qualifying, but also is showing signs of maybe a little bit more management than McNamara and Ross are doing. I take Dean Logsdale to be a relatively clever racer, so I'm sure he is aware of his fuel usage, his tyre usage. Might just be keeping some of that damage on. Jordan Ross very close, so if you're going to make a move here at Winton, this is what you've got to do. Get so close through turns 1 and 2. Better exit off 2. I hope that your rival gets sort of bad luck bouncing across some of those curves. Breaking into turn 3 can be your opportunity. Seems like Logsdale is walking the tightrope with good balance at the moment.
Yeah, now an update on those numbers I went and chased down for myself. At Logsdale's 1:22.5 pace he settled into after a couple of laps. That would put us at 22 laps of racing here in 30 minutes to start off. That puts you within range with some pretty extreme fuel saving though, which we didn't see when we checked those onboards earlier on. I'm sure one in particular at least, of doing it without the pit stop. Now, we didn't ride on board with Mr. Logsdale. Let's just jump on board with him for a sec. This way he's a little short in the shifts. Is there anything else that he's perhaps doing to try and make this possible? Out to you that I'm not getting?
No, except the fact that I think your best places to save fuel around here is in those hairpins at the far end of the circuit rather than into turn 1 and into turn 3. Sure, you'll save a little bit of fuel there, but it's the places where you're really just trying to roll the speed that you can avoid getting to full throttle and you can just lift off 15 meters earlier for this sequence of corners coming up here. So you can do a fair bit of fuel saving, just rolling the throttle gently into these sweeping parts here, and then rather than trying to get back to full throttle before braking again, you just roll into the hairpin here. Ross Logsdale's using plenty of the road there, so he wasn't defensively trying to cover off the inside there. He was trying to take the wide swooping arc that allows you to keep your minimum speed up. And when you can keep your minimum speed at the apex up, that's also very good for your fuel saving.
Based on everything I'm seeing, I'm going to stay I'm off just I see these guys take a stop, and then it's just down to, well, how short of a stop can you make it here? Because it might be as little as 4 seconds, about 3 to 4 meters in the car.
You look at who's already stopped and what their stop times were. So Ron Allen, Bruce Tannock have taken 5 to 6 second pit stops. That is going to be fuel only. We're talking that short. So Allen's the highest running car that's made a stop. Wayne Sanderson comes in. There's a few times like David Nash and Jason Bentz. There you go. I think they've taken tyres, but there's a few of these lap times that are so underneath 9 seconds that there just isn't time to take 4 tyres. It's a really little splash of just a couple of litres of fuel. I don't know, maybe you topped off your lawnmower and there's a little bit left in the jerry can after that.
So one of those is going to be the no tyre change. Top off and press on. It also puts him out as the effective leader of those to stop at this early phase of the race. Well, that battle for the lead is certainly feisty, but there's also a bit of a second train forming here, starting around P6. Goes back as far as Taliantich, let's say 14, 6 minutes. 8 cars.
Yeah, the pace of Young and Van der Meulen suggests they might be aiming for a little more saving as well. It is a big save to make this race no stop, but it's not an impossible save to no stop this race. Just as I say, that Van der Meulen comes in. So from 18-ish place, he had a couple of cars queuing up behind him. And rather than hold them up, he's come in, which is an interesting strategy. Stop. A little longer on the fuel than some others for Van der Meulen. I think he has, at that time, taken tyres. So just a couple of seconds longer than Sanderson, a couple of seconds longer than Ron Allen.
Yeah, that checks out. 9 seconds is definitely Parkville. Putting on a fresh set of boots and seeing if that tyre switch can help get him a bit of that mechanical bonus that the other drivers may have sacrificed for a short stop.
Because up front they're not holding back at all. Jordan Ross is within a couple of tenths of his personal best. John McNamara likewise. That group are going hard. Lots of packs, of course, overtaking difficult at Winton. So there's all of this group through here. It's almost a little odd seeing the Shadow Racing livery on a Camaro.
Yeah, this is one of the things that's a pretty big shake-up since in between last week's race and tonight's race here. Norman and David Fisher, the two split drivers who this applies to, departing to Sim Racing, and Jimmy John Latham, Brad Berger, was part of the Shadow Racing in this split, at least here tonight. So, yeah, we'll talk about that more because it makes the second team who's effectively the best drivers this season. So actually, so put that one together. So it's quite a list of drivers across all the spots making the shift. So it's more something along the team being expanded, or if it's simply a case of quite a few drivers agreeing to change things up here. From this pack, that would have been Justin McLean. He'll hit the mid lane. And a found a short shifter. Here we go.
Interesting. And then some of the lap times from like Shane Randell or Matthew Stoyles, we also suggest a bit of saving. We go on board with Allman. Question's always, who are you seeing the least brake lights from? Because rather than tap the brakes in these sections, they're sort of just rolling in a little more. Steering lock aplenty to work through those hairpins for Luke Allman. A series of 3 really slow corners in a row before it gets a little sort of accelerate, brake, turn through the newer part of the lap, the extension 1997 part of the track out here. More drivers pitting. They're probably past the halfway point of this 30-minute race as well. So coming to 10 minutes to go. Stop time. Just noticing actually how early the lane limiter starts in the lane here. So the speed zone begins quite early, and that adds to a not insignificant lane delta here of a bit over 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's quite costly.
Wide.
Oh, yep. Damon. Just slip there. That'll allow it to get us past.
Jordan Ross has passed Dean Logsdale. Just noticing how far Sean McNamara has got out ahead of the lead. Ross trying to get up into second place. Does get past Dean Logsdale. It's Michael Stewart and Wayne Walker behind. Stewart looks to the outside. Let's see a few of these drivers aim for pit lane this time. If they can't get past, they all stay out. Stewart, Walker and Logsdale. Those that have pitted haven't ended up in too much traffic. So it's always hard to know when you're in the shoes of someone like Michael Stewart. If I pit now, will I be putting myself in traffic, and is that the worst thing to do versus the frustration I've got here now behind Logsdale? But actually, with that long pit lane and the slow pit speed, everyone who's pitting is ending up in relatively clean air behind everyone who's stayed out and yet to stop.
Lap times here. McNamara 22.7. These guys who stopped, like Justin McLean, who's just stopped and put on tyres. 22.6. Vandermeulen did definitely take tyres. 21.9. Where she is. 17's what he did come in the pit. Where's that going to be? Yeah, it's probably ideal. Wise. Maybe he can make some inroads on those who are doing this conservative run.
There's Wayne Walker in 5th at the moment. Oh, that's a big coast, actually. Get a good idea from this double onboard what he's doing. He's probably quite aware that he wasn't going to get past going into turn 1. So rolling into the braking zone is no loss either way and could save you some time in the pit lane. You need more than that to cut out the pit stop full stop. But he's thinking strategically the way that he's driving at the moment back there in 5th place, the defending champion.
Yeah, trying to think big. Currently, what's it going to do for him when the driver is trying to chase on points? He's sitting 3 cars ahead, which means he'll gain a few more points and open up the margin some more. Standings. Get back to a regular format of pieces per round for the rest of the season. Looks like once again, also has that far through. So I'm not sure how the bonus is going to work, because the bonus is on points, but we're dividing things in threes tonight. There's Latham and Stone Street here. But here is McNamara. He's out. The pit. Give the lead to Jordan Ross.
Yeah, McNamara had a big lead going on, so he's pitted and he'll look to maintain as much of that advantage as he can. Ryan Borg also comes in. McNamara was trying to gain time on track, not saving a whole lot, and he's had a 7-second pit stop. Comes out in clean air, so that's positive for him. He'll be ahead of this whole group of drivers that you see battling. Stoyles, Latham, Stone Street heading towards turn 1. So pitting as he has, Sean McNamara has ended up ahead of them and in clean air, which is a real positive. Guess who hasn't won a race yet this season?
This one right here.
See how long the trend can go. But, yeah. If McNamara is on the right strategy here, he could be our 4th winner from 4 races so far this season. Yeah, repeat winners that are in good place. Jordan Ross and Wayne Walker, it must be said. Foreman is 7th on track at the moment, and it was fortuitous timing of the safety car, but also a good strategy that got him the win at Bathurst at the opening round. McNamara with a bit more fuel in the car, but no new tyres. He's got to find where the balance is at. We know how the tyres are like on this car. In that opportunity for just 30 seconds in the pit lane, they cool off and a bit of grip comes back to you. It's not quite as bad as, say, double stinting GT3 tyres where you go and put a load of fuel in and the car is horrible.
Considerations to make here in this one. This is a bunch of guys who haven't stopped, I should say. John Latham get past Michael Stoyles here, who's now being hounded by Stone Street. Smart. Right. That's all back there. I think, yeah, it is.
Borg's already made his stop, but he's ended up in this traffic, which is always a concern. So he's been very, very quick. So he goes around the outside of one corner into the inside of the next. It's costing him time, but he's making up some spots. The unconventional turn 9 move. He's shaping up for Christian Smart into turn 10. I'm seeing 3 laps to go for Jordan Ross as he crosses the start-finish line on circuit. You get Mark Winton and Alex Kiddis in the lane. Surely, if you look at pitting with 2 laps of Winton to go, you think, I could have saved that, but his pit stop numbers are...
Let's see a 3 go here, David. They're doing 122s.
I think it was 3 to go when they crossed the line.
Yeah.
That's my point. So they're going to come around to the end of the lap.
2 more.
And if they pit then, they're pitting with 2 to go. If you pit with 2 to go, you could have saved to pit with 1 to go. And if you could pit with 1 to go, you could have saved to make this race a no-stop. Is that why drivers like Borg are carving through this group?
Let's watch here. 2 laps to go. In.
Jordan Ross is in.
Wayne Walker can do at least 1 more. Can you do 2 more, Wayne?
Very interesting strategy from this 30-minute race. 50 litres of fuel for everyone. A few other drivers are staying out. A lot of other drivers are coming in. There's that pit lane entry. It's a bit odd here. So before the final corner, you spear off wide, then there's a tyre bundle on the apex of the pit entry. Hopefully you can pick someone coming that way. And the yellow cones for the start of the lane limiter are quite early before a chicane on pit entry. Jordan Ross is out just behind his teammate, Sean McNamara. They're the two highest running cars that have stopped in 7th and 8th. There's 6 cars ahead of them. Can they make it to the end without a stop? Who's that saving big time? I think Van der Meulen is saving massively down the front straight, getting monstered as he goes. Or is it Mackay doing the saving? Surely there's a couple of drivers that attempted to roll the dice. Oh, it's Mackay rolling it very gently everywhere he goes.
Engine braking. Yeah, that's a managed committed. Speaking of committed, there's Wayne Walker across the line, and with the time on the clock, that's going to be one more lap of the circuit here. He's going to go for the no-stopper and break the, if he can make it, run out, break the unique winners streak we've been on for the season. Doble's 1 lap short. And I think Damon Fisher too.
That's the no man's land, isn't it? You'd rather have stopped a little bit earlier and have gone full beans than need to do this. I mean, Fisher's been caught speeding on entry, or he might have cut one of the lines on the entry there. I've heard about that before. So halfway around the final lap, Wayne Walker is trying to nurse this thing to the checkered flag on a no-stop strategy. Behind him, Paul Young, Ken Latta and Talyancic are doing the same. Sean McNamara is 22 seconds back. The only way that this works for them is if Walker starts coughing and spluttering now. On board with Walker. I think he's looking at some fuel numbers. He keeps looking up at some fuel numbers and the gaps because he's got 10 seconds to the next car, 22 seconds to the next car.
He's got a leader left, I think, out of the corner. Have our answer, David. If you made sure to manage it, full save plan was the right call to make here in the first race.
There's always going to be a super challenging ask, and McNamara and Ross didn't think they could do it, but Wayne Walker, Paul Young, Ken Latta, our podium drivers from the beginning, no doubt, managing their field numbers. Brenton O'Brien's around at the penultimate corner. Stoyles goes around the outside of him. I think there are some drivers coughing, spluttering, and it's caused some issues in the final couple of corners. O'Brien is, he's not going to make it to the line at full beans. And having had the issue and being turned around, that's cost him even more because the one thing you can't afford to lose on a fuel save is your momentum.
More to pick up as replays after the fact. 36th, where he finishes in the fact with that. Everyone's across the line. Our results will be official here in just a moment's time.
Well, I see 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 10 drivers tried to make that no stop. It worked out for Wayne Walker as he took the win of race 1. Saw it didn't work out for everyone, and Scott Mackay also had to make that massive save. This is the results. And man, in a sprint race, these are big margins, but it's the division of the strategy. Wayne Walker saved heavily early on and could keep pushing on. Paul Young, Ken Latta and Michael Talyancic really needing to drop their pace back right at the end. McNamara and Jordan Ross, they were 1 and 2 on track. They made their pit stops. They finished 5th and 6th. Dean Logsdale, Chad Lewis, Michael Stewart and John Latham are the top 10. And Stone Street, Shane Randell, who I think went for that no stop as well. Brian Borg did make his stop, carved through the field like a hot knife, but you see that he's ended up further back than where he started the race as others on what looked like the correct strategy, but only if you could make it work, have gone ahead of him. Justin McLean, Luke Allman, Sean Van der Meulen, Mark Poynton, Brad Doble, Travis Hunt, and Alex Kiddis as the field to 20th place. Chris Burridge, Wayne Sanderson, Ron Allen, Scott Mackay, Matt Brunt, Logan Barnett, Jason Benz, David Nash, Matthew Stoyles, and John Gallen getting by Brenton O'Brien right at the end, as did a number of other drivers, Brett Horsell, Jamie McKnight, Bruce Tannock, and Christian Smart and Gary Buckland. There was O'Brien in 36th, with Ricky Hyde in 37th and Dean Flavel in 38th. Noting that the pole was a minute 21 and Dean Flavel was a minute 21 behind the race leader, so just on the lead lap there. Fisher 1 lap down. Spriggs might not have taken the start at all.
Yeah, in the server, but didn't turn a single lap. So in fact, I can't even see him at the moment. So yeah, 39 starters, 39 finishes for first race here. So actually, I want to quickly bring up the qualifying results. You can actually look through those here real quick just to show you how tight the margins were when everyone was actually pushing around the circuit here tonight.
So this is the times from qualifying, but not the grid order of race 1. So you can see just how close all of that is. If you were McNamara or Ross, the most you could feasibly back off is about a 10th, because any more than that, it's too risky for tiny gains. And in the end, what we've seen from Wayne Walker is that the race strategy was more important than whether you started in 1st or 10th. I think he was going to win that race from any of those spots with the advantage that he was able to have, the saving that he did early, and how few other drivers could go with him on that.
Yeah, and just even looking at it here, like, we don't see this field normally this close. The fact that we're inside half a second to Mark Poynton at 20th, and yeah, we do see drivers split by thousandths when we're talking one car to another, but then the gaps sort of eventually will ebb and flow throughout this field. So actually, when I have a look at this here, we're inside half a second to 24 at Dean Flavel. Still only 3/4 of a second behind Ryan Borg's time by the time you get to Ricky Hyde's position in P30. In fact, of everyone who qualified, only Jamie McKnight more than a second behind the pole time here tonight.
Yeah, but now it's the finishing order of that race 1 that will set the grid for race 2, and that is a great result for Wayne Walker, because not only does he come away with that race 1 win, now he's looking at starting up front for race 2. It's a 45-minute race, so no one will be saving themselves to a no stop in race 2. Everyone will be needing to take on board fuel for an extra 10 or so laps.
Yeah, exactly. So we're curious to see if anyone does try to be a little conservative and just shorten the stop, because obviously that's where the benefit will be on that one tonight. But yeah, you've got to make sure you protect your track position a whole lot more if you try to do so. And yeah, and 2/3 of the points tonight are up for grabs in this upcoming race here of 45 minutes. Just before we go to that grid, the one last thing I wanted to tease, talking about with how things have been shifting here this season. As I said, yeah, after the news between rounds 2 and 3 that 9.5 would be no more. This is the reminder of where the 9.5 drivers in Split 1 of Vets have ended up. Sean and Logan joining Synergy Sim Racing. Michael Stewart, though, going his own way and racing under the Bale and Stewart Foundation's team name. And the big one is from between last week's race and tonight's race. 266 Sim Racing has had Luke Allman and David Fisher leave that team, or within Split 1 at least, and join John Latham and Brad Noble at Shadow Racing.
I'm looking at everyone lining up for race 2 right now, and it's always a curiosity where does 40th on the grid end up? I think the answer is they all fit on the start-finish straight here, because it's a side-by-side start, not a F1 style staggered one. So a proper 20 rows of cars means we don't have a la Bathurst tail of the field looped around the far side of the final corner.
I'll just quickly rifle through everyone's starting positions for this one here tonight, folks, and show you indeed the shot of Dan Fisher, who's just tucked on the start-finish stretch. He is currently in the 39th grid slot, which appears to be in his last run of start. So not turning lap tonight here in split one, as we've got 3 seconds to play. Should we get a chance to do this one?
Oh, it's 45 minutes of racing for race 2 at Winton. Track position is absolutely king here. We saw overtaking very difficult, even when some drivers are saving fuel, as they were. It's the tail of our field on the grid there, and here is our front row. We spoke about what a great race it was for Paul Young, but also how good is this? Sorry, for Wayne Walker, but how good is this for Paul Young to start from second place with the outside for turn 1? They're about to get their starting procedure underway for race number 2. Latta and Taliancic just behind. It's all about fuel savers on the front 2 rows for race 2. Getaway, all important. It's great for Wayne Walker. Paul Young, in one of his struggles, he'll be under pressure going into turn 1. Leaves room for Ken Latta, and then takes the switch, but Latta is around and then straightened up. Loses a bunch of positions. We got to check up with McNamara right there. 3 wide. Brian Borg's got his nose in. And it causes a big incident at turn 3. Chad Lewis turned around. Brian Borg's out there as well.
Oh man, a mess. Messy situation there. Take a bit to unpack that one. Yeah, it just starts. Well, starts with turn 1 and 2 there. Another car off. Background, that's once. Once again up there at turn 7. Oh no, another spin here. So Richard Smart there is inside. It's a 3-1 situation. Crunching everyone there.
Get away from Jordan Ross up in the third. Seats kind of open for him with the problems for Ken Latta, Sean McNamara, even Brian Morgan others as well. Ross now coming into third from Taliancic and Dean Logsdale. Kiddis in a drag race with Brad Doble. Doble's got the inside for the 2 right-hand corners at the end of the lap. That's the place to be. With no compulsory pit stop window, you could stop now, put fuel in your car and make it to the end. Anything is a pit stop opportunity today.
Yes, that element is regulations you don't normally see is odd, right behind the shot. Ron Allen off the road.
Contact going into turn 3 on Allen's rear quarter, unsettled him. He goes wide out into the gravel there. The field's still so compact that he drops all the way back to 34th, maybe 35th. There's Dean Flavel. Race 1 didn't go well for Dino Dino in his Smick livery here, so he's going to try to come back through the field in race number 2 here. The real V8 historians will tell me that's the, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, Baco livery, but Dino?
I'm going to have to some of those people tonight. Let's say
I'm Googling it. Erebus 2014 on a Mercedes.
And it's been slow.
He has. Yeah. He's coming into the lane. Could be a strategic decision. I don't mind it. Let's stay on this because this is the pit entries. You've got to slow down to 50 k's an hour at those yellow cones. Then you've got to stay within bounds on that chicane. And then there's 30 pit stalls at Winton. So a couple of drivers are going to have to double bunk.
Short stop for Matt Brunt. Fresh set of boots, top the tank off with a bit of extra fuel. He's away, Flavel here, a little longer in his service before he gets one.
Yeah, a bit closer to what Brian Borg took, which was 15 seconds of fuel. Lewis must have had some damage with a 38-second stop. Ken Latta out of shape, but turn 2 on the opening lap. Straightened up, just lost a couple of spots. Is it the 7th? Ross's new fastest lap of the race, so he's focused on. Ken Latta's chatting with his teammates potentially. Chats with the Banner Alliance guys. Latham's around the final corner, and who's parked up behind him? Sean Vandermeulen. Vandermeulen waits and then goes to pit entry. John Latham will continue on track. Matthew Stoyles comes into the pit lane. Starting to see a couple of more pit stops here, particularly for drivers that have either got damage or the race is compromised in some other way. They just find themselves completely stuck in the traffic. Overtaking far more challenging at Winton than it is at almost any other track we're going to go to this season. It's a lot easier at Bathurst, Phillip Island, or even Sandown than here. This is the angle we should have been looking at for fuel saving earlier.
Indeed, probably would have been wise, but I think I actually had a few more cameras get switched on after we showed the Zoom earlier tonight. Save on this once it's all good. One or two more cameras added. Yes, of course, it's now been somewhat regular for the past couple of seasons here for us. Just into pedal cam. Chances to see some toe work in these Gen 3 supercars.
Gnarly curbs through turns 1 and 2. McLean's in 8th place, just behind Ken Latta in 7th. Top 5 and 6 a little further spread out. So you can just see Stone Street up there. Dean Logsdale and Taliancic. Now, can we just highlight Troy Stone Street's meteoric rise here? No qualifying time. Started race 1 in 38th. No stopped his way to 11th. Started race 2 in 11th. Now he's 6th.
I don't know
just
about
over 30 minutes from the back of the grid to looking at a top 5.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but that screams strong contender for the night. At this point, touch wood. Converting yourself an M1 News Guys driver today, recognition from us here. Keeps trending in this direction for Mr. Stone Street behind that 0 for tomorrow.
Must be the order of the day because David Nash has done similar from, I think, the 9th on the grid to 18th to where he finds himself now. So another driver from near the back of the grid. So it's worked out very well from Stone Street, and he got the right strategy. Sure. David Barnett, good to see him back in the mix in race 2 after being basically out of the picture from very early on in race 1. Aboard with Wayne Sanderson and his vinyl collection. Always brought out some news, some less of the classics, a bit more newer music on there. Bit of Tyler, the Creator.
Since I'm at times might be sort of a rough way to do operation, I can actually try doing something that I haven't done before on broadcast. Which one are you referring to, album?
Center of the Three is one of the newer albums from Tyler, the Creator.
That one there?
Yes, I mean 2024's Chromacopia.
Because, yes, I've now actually decided that adding myself a bit of analysis pen might be a handy idea, so a better way to try it out, circle a bit of album artwork, thanks to Wayne Sands.
Well, that's good. You can use it to draw a shirt on Sean Vandermeulen at the appropriate time.
Would you like it in yellow or some other colour? I do have options.
High-vis. Oh, good stuff, good stuff. 10 minutes into this race, we've already seen a couple of pit stops, but only from drivers with damage, delayed, or at the very tail end of the field. Our top 31 haven't stopped yet, and it includes Wayne Walker, who has run with this gift. Now 2.5 seconds clear of Paul Young. Got Jordan Ross directly behind him, and Taliancic, Logsdale, Stone Street, as we were checking out earlier. Ken Latter in 7th, McLean in 8th, Marcus Stewart in 9th, and Shane Randell up into 10th at the moment. There is just a little bit of pressure on Paul Young. Jordan Ross, last lap, very quick. I note that for all of our drivers in the top 3, yeah, Jordan Ross is the quickest. And he's going to give him a hurry up through turn 7, open him up a little bit through turn 8, and then turn 9 is actually the tightest of the lot of them, and your exit is so important from there.
Also, thanks to my zoom camera, have a look at what he's seeing in front of him. The answer is that 2-second margin. 2.6. So close to the line here at the end of lap 8. We'll start the 9th lap of the race. Paul doesn't certainly look like he's driving slow by any stretch of the means, but it's certainly, as you said, we've got Mr. Ross looking to try and perhaps set something up for his unfortunate.
Tough to follow close through any of these sequences. Sean Vandermeulen gets a drive-through penalty. Remember that he made contact with John Latham, I think, at the penultimate corner, and the two of them were stuck on the outside there, and the race is in the rubbish since then for them. So Jordan Ross can't get past Paul Young. Yeah, his teammate, Sean McNamara, is trying to come back through the field and make some moves, and this might be, yeah, Randall's got to come back very quickly, otherwise he'll be out of this race, and he actually has. Lucky bunny. Here's McNamara, damage on the nose, trying to work through Shane Randall. Internet out for 5 or 10 or 15 seconds there. Apparently not a complete and total failure. He's back on track in 10th place. Sean McNamara's got the shortest Ford Mustang on track, and he's locked up in the pit entry, boulder wide. And this is that pit entry right there. Yellow cone, 50 Ks, chicane, can't cut too much of it, but already a couple of seconds lost, barreling into pit entry, locking up and going into the gravel.
Yeah, costly. Now, I'm trying to think. Other than that one, that McNamara was wielding the walking wounded or not. We haven't really actually got him. Speaking of something, that
It's kind of him and Latter, wasn't it, on the opening lap?
I think it was. I mean, definitely Ladder was the car we saw sideways and broke out yours as well. Let's do a bit of a replay run through. First of all, the drive-through penalty for Sean Bennett. Watch that one. Back here with the replay. There's Latham and behind.
It looked like a very significant misjudgment. Thought the driver in front was gonna like lift for him or something, because he makes that shift to look to the inside as if he thought the driver in front had a problem or something. But then he's optimistically come from a long way back, and he stayed on track when he made his pit entry, but he's had to make two because he has a drive-through penalty. There's Chad Lewis getting taken out as Brian Borg turns Stone Street into him.
From. So latter is Tally Ansich more than other driver. Yeah, Tally here. There we go. That really looks like a case. Yeah, and so a McNamara in the middle of all it. So he gets stalled out. Then he gets Borg up the inside of Stone Street. Way off. He's trying to go around the outside of Latham. That doesn't work. Then Borg ends up escorting him, and then, oh, hello, there's Chad Lewis.
Yeah, chaotic damaging for Sean McNamara. That's the fight he's been in since then. Lucky it was Troy Stone Street to actually get away with that and keep going, because he's still in 6th, but he's getting pretty close to Logsdale in 5th place, and we highlighted from how deep in the field Stone Street's come in his last 2 races. Chad Lewis is now a lap down. Shane Randell seems to be back in business, but he's got Mark Point, Luke Allman and Brad Doble right behind him in a group of 4 drivers vying for the top 10. A couple more pit, like Damon Fisher, and we had Jamie McKnight as well. An impossible task to fuel save yourself to a 0-stop race in this 45-minute race, like some were able to successfully do in the 30-minute race 1.
Halfway through the field we started with, and we've barely got ourselves through 15 minutes of this race to just back under 30 minutes they had the starting race 1, so it's in that 10 lap pocket or so of fuel they'll need, and as a result, the lap times have been much more quick. Mark, so Paul Young here, he's still lapping some higher 122s. So he's now checking in the last laps again with the horse.
Gap's still tiny, but overtaking needs more than a tiny gap at Winton. National configuration of Winton Motor Raceway. It's a rallycross layout, it's a shorter one. Interesting circuit. And there's Ross, car lengths, wishing that the front straight was a little bit longer. Peak speed in this race for Jordan Ross has been 227 k's an hour far cry from the 280 that we were doing at Mexico City.
Slightly out of straight line circuit that is available on offer here at Winton Motor Raceway, but gives its own little flavour and chill on as a result. So we'll see when Sanderson's record collection about other drivers who we see camera. Is Travis coming back again here tonight? He's behind Sanderson. So Scott Mackay and David Nash here as well. So
a bit of a moment that showed a little too clearly on his face. Rear braking traction out of turn 9. Still manages to stay ahead on the way to turn 10. Again, takes a mistake from the driver in front to make a pass, and apparently takes more than a mistake like that. So Hunt still sits in 17th. Bunch of drivers heading to pit lane in front of him. Ken Latta, Justin McLean, and he's going to head in himself. He's sick of those rear tyres, and he locks them up. The pit entry, it's got a tight corner. On that pit entry, you've got to go around the tyre bundle. Do you want to expand on that?
That limiter didn't look like it engaged initially for a moment there. That's what caught my attention. That's why number 3 bump put at 60 k's an hour. And thankfully for Trav, either it actually did latch in, or it gave him just the tiniest of benefit from slip. Disaster. Some safety car invasion, which, despite our expected odds of it being high tonight, hasn't happened yet. That's a real touch.
Gallen and Tanak in turn 8. Tanak's going to try to go around the outside of 8 for the inside of 9, but that doesn't work. Gallen just parks up at the apex, drives tight through the corner and straightens up the exit. Sean McNamara is in the wall. He's not going anywhere. Where has that happened? Turn 3 apparently.
Oh, yes.
He's driven out of the wall. He's come to a stop on track. He's dropped all of the gravel. I think he has some not insignificant suspension damage. The body looks okay. He's just letting everyone go. He is a lap down to these drivers that are going past drivers like Salyancic, Brandel, Winton. He's got the fastest lap of the race, and he's about to do the slowest one on this lap.
Hunt behind him. Oh dear.
So that would have been Hunt on his outlap just there. The two of them may have blended near each other in 1 and 2. Hunt gets a bit of gravel at 2. And then he's looking for the inside of turn 3. He cuts back to the racing line. Oh, yeah, so Hunt has a moment in 1 and tries to make up for it in 3. His braking looked off in turn 1 and in turn 3, like the bias or the engine braking or something was wrong, because he kind of lost the rear and didn't have the braking he was expecting at both occasions.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a strong possibility that just you have to pick the cars to get them to optimally downshift. Maybe just didn't quite lip it enough there. As McNamara having already used his faster there, I think the penalties there. Folks, we're not seeing it with him. pace, and that's terminal side, I would suggest. I was going to say good words.
Wayne Walker comes in from the lead of the race, looking for 2 wins from 2 races at Winton today, and to really strike back in the championship versus Jordan Ross. Ross pitted a lap ago, so this could well be a reaction from Wayne Walker. Michael Stewart also comes in. Travis Hunt, unsurprisingly, gets a drive-through penalty for that. He just got the braking wrong in turn 3, it must be said. Stop from Ross was 16 seconds. Stop from Wayne Walker just a tiny bit longer. Paul Young continues, but can't continue forever. This is Walker on the exit, just behind Gary Buckland.
Now, not great from Wayne in a sense, because obviously I'm sure he would have loved to clean out, but she's going to get it. Okay. Gentlemanly driving there from Gary, but good news for him. Still plenty of, that's now 3 cars that Jordan Ross has to either be equally let past in a similar fashion, or make his own way past, plus the track position that separates them as well. So actually looking quite healthy there for Wayne Walker on his out lap, even though Ross had that extra lap to try and maybe find a bit of pace with the fresh tyres underneath him.
Track positions, everything. Well, Jordan Ross has tried to go to that new set of tyres. He's been caught behind Russell and Allen. He tries to have a dive. Unconventional spot, and he gets just a little bit of space going into turn 10. Not exactly how he would have liked this to have played out. It's why drivers like Paul Young, Taliancic, Alex Kiddis are carrying on. Mark Winton comes into the lane. There goes Ron Allen to pit entry. A bunch of other drivers are going to go there as well. Buckland, Horsell, Allen all coming in. Ken Latt has already made his stop. So now he's not too far behind Logsdale and Ross, and he's ahead of Troy Stone Street for the moment. Stone Street was a tenth or two quicker last lap. Did he have a penalty looming over him? Or what prevented him from qualifying? Because outside of that, Troy Stone Street has looked incredibly capable here at this track.
Let me double check. Yes. Pit lane start due to license point accumulation for Troy Stone Street, so that is indeed why he put in a representative lap time tonight.
Paul Young and Michael Taliancic come in, so we're now just left with Alex Kiddis and Chris Burrows, who haven't stopped, and they very well could on their way by this lap. They will. Alex Kiddis in, and Burridge just behind him. That's a pit stop for everyone. My timing goes on to highlight how short Matthew Stoyle's pit stop was. Everyone else's pit stop is 15 to 18 seconds. Stoyle's took 11. Stopped very early. I wonder if he had an error with his fuel calculation stopping so early. He didn't realise how much he might need to take.
Yeah, that looks a little short from my numbers I calculated in the race to get him up comfortably. So I think he'll be hoping for... honestly, I think you actually need a safety car to make that kind of refuel amount work, because it's easily 2, maybe 3 laps of fuel less. Maybe so it's going to be hard to compensate for it. As Kiddis will get out just in front of him and split up respectively 7.5 seconds of fuel. Although Kiddis, that's a very clumsy pit lane time. Okay. So quite rough pit stop. Transit. 18 seconds.
I thought he was pointed oddly in his box as well. Maybe he wasn't aware of where his pit crew would be, because of course your pit crew will have moved from race 1 to race 2. because the grid order is different in race 1 and race 2. That's one of those little things you need to think about, and you might not have realised, oh, actually, I'm about to overshoot where my pit crew are.
Cycle done and dusted. Randell and Winton, they have been pretty well stuck with it tonight. Yeah. I guess there we go. Mark, his pit stop later than Shane. And a mistake there from Randell at turn 3, but Winton not able to capitalise on this occasion. They are 1 lap difference. Winton 1 lap fresher tyres. From the issues on the line versus the mistake. It's pretty tight knit between these two. In this race, as you can see, the chains have moved much. Mark has been a couple of spots. He started at 17th. This pole no again.
Where's he from? Who's his ISP? Name and shame. Could be a problem that exists within the 4 walls. I'm one of those stupid people who runs a network cable across like 3 rooms and down the hallway of my house because I steadfastly refuse to be dropping packets from bad Wi-Fi. Randell and Winton across the start-finish line there. Wayne Walker's leading this race 5 seconds from Jordan Ross. Paul Young, the fastest driver out on track last lap. Got some slightly fresher tyres than everyone else. 3rd place, Taljancic, having a good showing in 4th place. On board with Dean Logsdale up in 5th. It's hand-over-hand steering lock for these hairpins. Almost got to go Monaco Grand Prix and take 1 hand off. And he's working hard because Ken Latta and Troy Stonestreet aren't far behind him. Again, they've both been very quick and efficient here at Winton. Quicker last lap, because the tyres are in okay shape. Dean Logsdale running 5th at the moment. Pit stops completed for everyone except for that big question mark on Matthew Stoyles.
Just having a look around to see where the racing's at the moment. This is probably our competitive battle on the track. These 4 drivers here behind Brian Borg, Sanderson, David Nash, Chris Burridge. Extending the periphery, it's Jason Anderson, Scott Nye there behind Burridge. Form up into a 6-car battle. And if something wants to change in the next little bit.
Line you want to take through those corners, and there's the line you have to take so that you stop the driver behind from sticking their nose into your business. Sure. A train like this, the driver's sort of trying to just that half car length over to the inside to stop someone else dive bombing them, and it just tightens your line a little bit through the sequence of corners. On board with Burridge in 19th at the moment. Not a great ride of the curb through turn 1, puts him a little bit wide and offline for turn 2, and then that hurts your momentum on the straight to turn 3. The nose wash is just a tiny bit wide, but it's the same for everyone. a long run now on the tyres to get home.
Yeah, I was just having a look at this came to lap times. He had a bit of a bubble to work with. Burridge was most definitely the fastest of this quartet, but now very much running at their rhythm, just having to adapt to it. It's joined pace in 122, so 122.6 past that. That's Orks, Anderson, David Nash split them by 3 1,000ths of a second on that last time around the circuit. Can't ask for too much better than that. See some updates across the line again.
Well, Borg was obviously massively quick in qualifying. A little bit down in race 1 and significantly down in race 2 now. But we know that there's a lot of pace there. So it should be stretching this group out unless he's got a problem or something else that he's managing. Sanderson sits at 17th at the moment. Borg's got his teammate just up for the next spot in Jason Bentz. Behind Randell and Poynton. Poynton may be getting a little bit frustrated if the connection issues to Shane Randell aren't smoothing themselves out. But it's looked mostly okay recently from what I've seen. 10 minutes to go in race 2 from Winton. Wayne Walker's the fastest driver on track. Paul Young has been really quick since his stop. Now closing in behind Jordan Ross again to put some pressure on here. Second and third. And hey, just as we went away from Burridge and Nash, those two have banged doors and Burridge has forced his way forward a spot. So there's still some action for these final couple of laps from Winton.
I will cue that one up since that feels appropriate. Paul Young's pace in the last lap apparently. I should know more of the fact. I'm going to correct myself because it's Jordan Ross's pace coming back towards where he should be, with maybe a slight correction as well. He does have 3 lapping on the tyres as Paul, so that could explain lap 23 offset. Maybe things are trying more. Now it's going to just something, so it's just time.
That's turn 10. Just a not great getaway from Nash, and Burridge comes from a long way back. Yeah, okay. Yep. I thought it wasn't that dirty of a pass, all things considered. He did leave a little bit of space around the outside. He did get most of the way alongside at that turn-in point there, but then he did, lock up, slide across the apex. They were banging doors there. Kind of thing you might do on the last lap for a couple more biscuits than we're playing for today. All stopping Wayne Walker. Jordan Ross, slightly shorter stop than Walker and Young. Is he managing that a little bit? Is that one of the things that's keeping Paul Young in the fight? That's his teammate Talianzic in the 4th spot there. It's Ricky Hyde in 21st with Christian Smart behind.
Unfortunately, I just went to go and check in as Spencer. That I wasn't going to get a chance to shoot that in. Custom SimSpeed t-shirt. In a while since it was part of the server, we also sure that car from the race was. It's a seat back from some place. somewhere else. Christian Smart is still. Had a look at his slightly. He was defending. Look at him, see what his confidence. Paralyzed for.
Half open, whatever. Christian Smart never looks like anything is flapping him too much. He's a clever racer too. Race 1, of course, didn't go how he wanted, but he's up 12 spots in race 2. Behind Ricky Hyde here. His last lap was a 23, so Smart was a little quicker. A wobbly moment going in. David Nash. Short gear ratios means lots of downshifts in quick succession in the short braking zones of this lap. So, a 6th down a 3rd in quick time for Christian Smart before an upshift into 4th to try to stabilise the car to drive off turn 2. He's now just starting to move around because he senses an opportunity to maybe get by Ricky Hyde. 5 minutes to go. 4 more laps for the race leader.
Gap up to 6 seconds now between Ross. So it's very much a question of that gap being slightly small between Ross and the other. Us. Last couple of laps. Chunk for Young back on 27, David. 28-29. Back pretty much even. Officially in favour of Ross.
Yeah, both of them super equal. Paul Young without much of a tyre advantage at the moment, and you're looking for a Jordan Ross mistake, which would be a rare thing to try to get 2nd place away. What about Logsdale in 5th with a slowdown penalty? That could be a change there. Ken Latter's just behind him. Williams pressure on Logsdale. He wants to cut one of the corners, and Latter smells it. And Logsdale parks it at the inside. Ken Latter is fishing around, and Logsdale might just hold on to that 5th. Don't know where he got the slowdown. Don't know how he held on to the spot. Latter and Stone Street are all over him everywhere. Latter, being as close to him as he was, probably saw where Logsdale cut a bit of the track and probably thought, that's a slowdown. He saw Logsdale's behaviour and thought, okay, well, I'll get down the inside here. But it didn't happen at turn 7. It's not happening yet at the end of the lap. And it's 3 to go at the start-finish line here for them. Ken Latter will have a good idea of that, so he knows very few opportunities remain. But is this one? A little wide from 1 to turn 2 for Logsdale. Ken Latter really wants to dive down the inside of turn 3. Doesn't want to cause an incident. Kiss that curve at turn 6. Track gets quite wide before you turn into 7. Position yourself for turn 8 to the left. High domed curves here. Turn 9, the tightest of the lot of them. And everyone's just starting to show the age of their tyres a little bit.
shock me that with everyone on pretty similar strategies, in fact, ladder of this three, the driver on the older set of tyres as well, might be finding it hard to get a little something more out of it than they already are. So keep an eye on this. 2 more laps for them. Gap up to 8/10 for second place. Ryan walked back into the pits. 14.5 seconds left for Brian Wall. Matthew Stoyles, yeah. Lap 27 pit stop for an additional 6 seconds. That's going to stick.
It's ongoing for Borg. He might have forgot to uncheck tyres. Or is he going for the fastest lap of the race? Unfortunately, that has been super costly. He's down to 34th now. Final lap of the race for Wayne Walker. We hadn't had a repeat winner yet this season. Now we have. We might even have the same person repeat within the round. Perfect strategy in race 1 for Wayne Walker. Fuel saving when others couldn't and had to make a stop. He took that win. That put him on the front row of the grid for race 2, where he got the absolutely perfect getaway, and he's been difficult to trouble since then. Ricky Hyde and Christian Smart are 20th and 21st. Smart is trying everything, but he's still been stuck there. It's short braking zones here, reduces the overtaking opportunities. And they've only got 1 lap left to sort that out. Jordan Ross with second place, beginning to pull away from Paul Young after sustaining some pressure. A different pit stop strategy from Paul Young. Wayne Walker started this round with just 1 win to his name this season, down in the points as he tries to defend his championship. But with the race 1 win and now the race 2 win, in the space of one night he goes from 1 to 3 wins in the season, and he'll just about take the championship lead as well. 2 opportunities to take points out of Jordan Ross, and he takes both of them, with Paul Young coming home in 3rd. Outsitch for 4th. Logsdale still just ahead of Ken Latter.
At the back of the circuit for Alex Kiddis is David Nash up the inside of Chris Burridge. That's a real, I'll take any road I could get, and then Mackay trying to get up the inside of Burridge too at the very last turn. Going to drop him outside the 20 or at
Hyde
least 2.
and Smart are going to get a spot too. Flavel leads home John Latham. Almost running out of fuel for Brenton O'Brien again, ahead of Damon Fisher and Gary Buckland. 15-second stop for O'Brien. He might have been close. See if he does a whole cool-down lap. I don't think he can.
No, that's
he knows
quite
all the
telling
tricks.
right there. The way that's
He knows all the tricks around Winton Motor Raceway.
Just drop in as close as he can. Now for Wayne Walker, he's got fuel to spare, enough to even shred the tyres down to about as little as it'll let him. And with that, everyone's across the line. The results are... Actually, no, pardon me. Travis Hunt's across the line now. That should declare the results officially this year. Sure to get you. Main event of the round. Number 4 here tonight.
Yeah, 1/3 of the points for race 1, 2/3 of the round points for race 2, and all of them go to Wayne Walker. Jordan Ross Not a bad race from him, let's be honest. Came from 6th on the grid to grab that 2nd place. But still, 2 races losing out some points to Wayne Walker. Paul Young gets 3rd. And that's 2 trips to the podium from 2 races from him. Very consistent at Winton Motor Raceway. Taljancic in 4th, Dean Logsdale in 5th, Ken Latta there in 6th. From Stone Street, McLean, Michael Stewart and Brad Doble. Then there was Luke Orman, Logan Barnett and Mark Poynton. Shane Randell, Wayne Sanderson, Jason Bentz, David Nash, Scott Mackay, Ricky Hyde and Christian Smart. A whole bunch of those drivers gaining points and positions, as Chris Burridge was off the road on the final lap and came home in 21st. Tannock and Gallen very close at the end. Alex Kiddis with a slow pit stop costing him was otherwise a great pace, and has been a great season from him. Inside of the top 10 of the points as we came to this round. Dean Flavel in 25th with the Erebus throwback livery. He's been working through some great liveries this season. John Latham, Jamie McKnight, Brenton O'Brien, Damon Fisher and Gary Buckland for the top 30. Brenton O'Brien lost about 2 seconds to his fuel saving and spluttering on the final lap. Ron Allen, Brett Horsell, Brian Borg and Chad Lewis, the last cars on the lead lap. Stoyles needed 2 pit stops as he short fueled, so did Matt Brunt and Travis Hunt. Sean McNamara and Sean Vandermeulen parking up well short of classified finishing territory, and we didn't get Jason Spriggs.
We did 39 starters, 37 finishes for the main event. And with that, we can turn our attention to the drivers for one final time. As we've got 2/3 of the podium, we're missing top step, so I guess that kind of opens the door to you, David, to probably pick Paul Young first. Yes, you will indeed grab him and kick off the interviews here tonight.
2 trips to the podium in one of our rare rounds with 2 races. I'm sure you're relatively pleased with that, Paul.
I'm very pleased with that, yeah. 2 weeks in a row. It's been a while, and then I've got 2, but I could have been a bit more pleased if I held on to 2nd, but yeah, Jordan got me in the pits.
Speaking of the pits, you got him in race 1 because you didn't use him.
That's right, yes. Yeah, I was surprised. Wayne's pace was really good for not pitting, but then the other guys that were further out front, I thought, geez, I'm really not good at this because I was planning on not pitting. But I was like, 10, 12 seconds off the leaders. And then as they started to file in, and then even a few of the guys behind us started to file in, I thought, this is looking good for a podium. So, yeah, it was, thank Ken Latta. We practiced during the week and we did a 23 lap run. So we were aiming for, less than 2.2 litres, but it ended up being 22 laps. So we got away with a bit over 2.2 litres. So worked out well.
Certainly was the right strategy for race 1, and then it puts you in a really good position for race 2 with the carryover grid.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to mention qualifying. I think there was a fair bit of tactics going on in that reverse grid for top 10. I mean, even myself, like I did my first lap and was sitting second, and I thought, I'm just going to sit back, there's plenty of time here, and I'll watch what everyone else does. And I saw Jordan and Wayne about half a second off their normal practice pace, and I thought, but then they dropped down out of 10, so they went out again. So yeah, it was. I think I ended up 6 on the grid, so I started 4th, so that was good. So yeah, no, it's worked out well.
Yeah, well done, and hopefully you're looking forward to the remainder of the Australian rounds this season, and all of them will open up with a couple more passing opportunities than Winton they might be less cold as well.
Yes, yeah. Although I've got a bit of a sweat on, but yeah. Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks, David. Thanks, guys.
Jordan Ross finished second, and he's with Dan.
Well, Jordan, it's been a good season for you so far, and a bit of a mix-up here with this sprint racing here at Winton tonight. Just had Paul suggest that some drivers there perhaps not putting their absolute best in for qualifying. Are you willing to say the same, or was that a pretty fair crack to end up in 8th in a qualifying?
Mate, yeah, we were all playing the game, weren't we? Mate, I think it's cool. Like, you just got to. It's a bit of a risk. Like, you can. I was put my time in, and I thought there was a chance I might drop to like 11th or 12th. So, you can gamble and go all right, or you can gamble and fall out the 10. So, but it's cool. I like what Vets did this week and mixes it up and gives a few different people some time at the front. It's cool.
And then race 1 ended up being that the fuel save was the strategy to win that race tonight. Was that something that you were preparing for at all? In the end, you didn't take it. It was just a case of just trying to hope that it was going to be too tight for those drivers to make it work versus going flat out yourself.
We didn't really do our homework real well, to be honest. Just before the race, I did a couple of laps just fuel saving, and I figured I didn't think you could do it, but they proved me wrong. They did a really good job. Maybe if I was off the front row and we were able to go full snot, like just, go do heaters for the whole race and get a bit of a gap, it might have been a bit different. But yeah, we're sort of starting off third and sort of sitting in third for the whole race. By the time we were able to, get in front of, I think it was Logsdale and behind Sean, the front tyres were sort of a bit worn and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe it would have been a bit different if we're off 1 and 2 and we could have run away a little bit. But mate, it was cool. I like what they did, and Wayne did an excellent job. So did I think Kenny and Mike Taliancic and Paul Young. They did an awesome job to do that fuel save and make it work for them. So congrats to them, and I'll have to do my homework next week.
And actually, really interesting to hear you say you're really feeling it in the front tyres, even in that first race. Feels similar in the second race, having to start from P6 and trying to go that tiny bit earlier in the pit stop to try and find a bit of an undercut there as well.
Yeah, I felt like my pace was on par with Wayne, and so yeah, like at the start of I was lucky because the seas parted for me off the start there. Being buried back in P6, but popped out in third, and then there was a bit of a gap, and I was able to maintain my gap to Wayne. But then, obviously, by the time I got to Paul and stayed behind him for a bit, the front tyres just went off, and couldn't really could drop back a little bit and then have another little attack and drop back and have another little attack, but you couldn't stay there. And then he did make a mistake through 1-2 lap, but it was when I was cooling my fronts off and wasn't able to take advantage of it. But a little bit lucky because I probably didn't deserve to be P2 tonight with my the race 1 set up. But anyway, we'll take it and move on to the next one.
And then, I guess just as you said, you enjoyed the variation here tonight. Go back to usual business next week at the island for single race, and that's that regular 200k format. Looking forward to that one again.
Yeah, well, the good thing is we don't have to do much practice there because we've all done 1 trillion laps, so should be able to almost grid and go in that one. So I'm looking forward to a bit more of a relaxing week on a track that we've all done 1 million laps of. We just did an enduro race there not long ago, so we should all be good to go. And looking forward to it. And hopefully, Vets do a little bit more of this sort of stuff as the time goes on, because I think it's cool. Different people up the front and mixes it up, and you never know what you're going to get.
Well, thanks for your time, Jordan. Anyone you want to give thanks or shout out to before we let you go here?
Just all the Vets organisers and obviously the broadcast team for turning up each week and putting on the show, and all the competitors had a good race with Dean Logsdale and Paul out there tonight. So thanks to those guys. Congrats to Wayne, and shout out to all the guys in the team putting in. They're all competitive and racing up the front tonight. So hoping we can do that next week. See you guys.
Thank you, Jordan. There, P2 in the main race here tonight. Let's see what that does to the championship situation in the next week out. And we've got one last person to speak to here, David. Wayne Walker joins us now to speak as our round winner to you.
Well, not often that you get to claim 2 race.
Apologies there, David. I've just lost you, Wayne. Have I lost
Yeah.
him too? Or
Yeah.
You lost him as well? Okay.
I lost David as well. Yep.
Okay, well, fingers crossed David will be back with us momentarily, but let's see if I can pick up on where David was going there. 2 race wins tonight with this sprint racing format. That's a pretty good result for you there. Fuel saving working out like a charm for you there in that first race. Were you aware of it from the start, or was that something you were able to adapt to as the race went on? How did that come together for you?
No, it was fuel saving from lap 1 to be able to make it, and that was the plan sort of going into it. And staying with the guys in front, I thought they were doing the same as well. And then with a couple of laps to go, they all pitted. I'm like, oh, okay. Like they must have been saving as much as what I was, and yeah, I think I crossed the line with about 0.6 of a litre at the end. So yeah, that was a good strategy call then, and then race 2 was get a good start, try and sort of pull a gap, and then just hold that gap to the end, and two race wins. I didn't really expect it, but that's an awesome result for the night.
Apparently we have David back now, so I'll let him actually ask some questions. I'm sure he was keen to ask you here. I hope. Never mind, unfortunately we've got some issues there, so I have to leave it to me. This is that race 1, making that fuel save work. Race 2, though, a bit more, I guess, the ordinary form, as it were. No chance of making that fuel save work, and you had a good chance to start up front as well. Unlike starting in the middle of the 10 for that second race. How valuable was the track position to you there to start from the front row tonight?
Oh, track position for that second race was like if you got caught up in the field, then you were just losing time. So to get a good start and be able to gap Paul in that first stint, that was good, because this track is nearly impossible to pass on. If you're if you're similar pace to the car in front, it's impossible to pass. So track position in that second race was you needed it.
I guess on that note then, real quick, obviously you said fuel obviously limits how far you could go at the start of each race tonight. And based on the difficulty of passing, I guess we know tyres are valuable. How much of an offset do you reckon you would have needed in tyres to be able to make a pass on someone you otherwise would have been pretty even on pace with, just even as a guess?
I think to make a pass on somebody, I think you'd need at least half a dozen laps different, or maybe even more, because the pace doesn't drop off too much on this track. Like, I think my quickest lap was a 21.0, but I think I was staying sort of mid to high 22s, or even low 22s. So it was only about a second the difference on tires. So even with you being on even 15 lap old tires and them being on new, it'd still be hard to pass.
Yeah, no, excellent. Thanks for those insights there. Wayne, we get back to the normal stuff next week. Phillip Island, another 200 Ks on the board for that race as well. Jordan said here, enjoyed the change in format. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Are you looking forward to going back to a more regular race, or thoughts on what it'll be like at the island next week out?
Yeah, tonight's format that was good. It really, sort of put a spanner in the works. In quali, me and Jordan both didn't put our best laps in to try and start a bit further up the front with the, that top 10 reverse grid. And that sort of, threw a spanner in the works. But going back to the normal format next week, I don't mind the normal format, but next week's track I'm not really a fan of. I've never gone good at Phillip Island, so I'll have to do a bit of practice and see if I can change that around for next week.
Well, that's a curious case then, given that tonight was a good night for your championship aspirations if you were thinking long-term about them there. But nevertheless, let's see what next week brings then in that case. Any final thanks or shout-outs you want to give here before we let you go?
Yeah, just the league, everybody, who helps run the league, or the admin and race control, safety car drivers, you guys for the broadcast. You guys do an amazing job every week. The podium finishers, so Jordan and Paul and Ken in the first race as well. All the other competitors, without them it's not possible, and the field is so close that it makes the racing good. My team, Accelerate Sim Racing, all the guys there for all their help and support. And our sponsors, Abbey Timber, Primal Wheels, Box the Mocknarang, and Modern Deck.
Well, thank you very much, Wayne, for joining us once again. Our double race winner here tonight to cap off the sprint action from Winton Motor Raceway for round number 4.
Yep, thank you.
And that's going to conclude the interviews here tonight from Split 1 of the Vets. I might have David back, I might not. I tempt fate by suggesting it. So, yeah, Phillip Island next week, but we also have an M1 Used Cars Driver of the Day that I have to try and decide if David can't chip in here as well, at least verbally anyways. And the biggest problem we're having is someone like Troy Stoneshot we'd love to give it to, but when you get a rear grid penalty because you put yourself in the naughty corner with race control, too many license points, it's a bit of a rough one to give. And having a flick through the results of my own, David, I see a lot of drivers who had one great race and then one pretty rough race. For example, Chad Lewis started race 1 in 25th, got to 8th, and then unfortunately we saw there at the start of race 2, caught up in the mess, and he ended up going back down to 34th. So I'm scratching my head. Have you got anything for me other than our initial thoughts here? And the suggestion, yeah, you know what? I think that's a fairly reasonable shout to give that one to, because otherwise we'd be here for way too long trying to do it. Solid night all around. Wasn't quite Wayne's night tonight, but we're going to say, yeah, Paul Young here in the number 81 for Phase 4 BFS Racing. That was a good night from him here. Started 5th, made the fuel save work, finished 2nd, hung on to another podium, P3 in the main race. So we'll call that one there. An M1 Used Cars Driver of the Day from Winton for round number 4 of the season. And yeah, the island beckons next time out here, back to the traditional Vets format, single race. We'll kick off once again at 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time next Thursday night, the 23rd of July, for the end of the first half of the 28th season of the SimRigs V8 Vets Championship. Will it be Wayne Walker right on the doorstep of Jordan Ross's results? Or will it be in case Ross opens the door back up again? Thank you all very much for joining us here tonight. Big thanks to SimRigs as the new title sponsor for the V8 Vets Championship here in season 28, and all the other supporting partners that make this league possible. Logitech G, Nova Sim Sports, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Project Fade, Streetwear, M1 Used Cars, and LGC Images. Without everyone making this league possible, unfortunately, it just wouldn't be a league in the first place. So, big shout out to all of those businesses for helping the organisers get this one off the ground. 28 seasons straight. My name is Danny Amon on behalf of David Haynes, here commentating as well tonight. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully, we'll see you either next Thursday or any one of our other ads. Any other one of our broadcasts here at SimSpeed TV coming up in the next little bit. Until then, take care and have a good one.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.